Here are 11 signs that your child's school is unable or unwilling to teach them to read at grade level. Number 1, no sense of urgency. The testing will not be done till 3rd grade. We'll get back in a couple months. Emails don't get responded to. Calls don't get responded to. You can't be told to plan. You can't discern what's happening. There's no sense of urgency. If dealing with your school makes you feel like you're standing in line at DMV trying to get a title transferred, your school is probably not going to teach your child to read. The second sign is they refuse to tell you what grade level they feel your child is at. They simply won't answer the question. They've come up with a letter system. A lot of schools have come up with letter systems to hide behind. Well, what grade level is he reading at, Mrs. Jones? He's at J. Well, what grade level is that? And then you get all this ambiguity and fluff. They kind of hide behind this because they don't want to tell you the truth. You know, if your child's in 3rd grade, they've had them for 4 years, including kindergarten, and they don't want to look at you and say, well, Mrs. Jones, you know, your child's reading on a 1st grade level. So they give you all this ambiguity. It's a simple question. What grade level is my child reading at? If they can't answer it, they're probably not going to be able to teach your child to read. 3, they are over-credentialed and under-experienced. There's all these advanced degrees in literacy education, and you find out very few of the people sitting in a circle at the IEP meeting have actually taught in the classroom. That's a bad sign, right? You know, you don't learn to teach reading in a college setting. You learn to teach reading when you teach reading year after year. So if you're surrounded by people with advanced degrees and very little classroom time teaching actual children, they probably don't know how to teach your child to read or really know very much about children, even though they have advanced degrees, sound very articulate, and use a language you don't fully understand. The 4th sign your child's school may not be able to teach them to read is that they're using the wrong methodology. If you see whole language, that's pictures in words. So a picture of a frog with a line that goes to the word frog, that's a bad sign. Excessive word lists. Your child is supposed to memorize word list after word list. That's a bad sign. If they teach 3Qing, like if they teach your child to guess or look at the picture, that's all a bad sign. If they're not using phonics, well, how would I know, Keith? If your child gets to a word they do not know and they just stop and they have no tools or methodology, they just don't know how to decode that word, that's a sign that your child's school is not teaching phonetic decoding. If they're not using phonics as a strong component of what they're doing, your child's school probably not going to be able to teach them to read. The 5th sign that your school may not be able to teach your child to read is you don't understand the IEP. It's filled with language you don't understand, ambiguity, and no clear goals. There should be clear, discernible goals you understand and can hold them accountable to. If there's not, your school is probably going to be unable to teach your child to read. The 6th sign that your child is not going to achieve reading or comprehension at grade level at your school is over accommodation. Are they reading tests to your children? When schools start reading tests to children, they've basically given up. They're like, we're not going to teach them to read. Now we got to get them through school, get the money reimbursed for the IEP, because in some states an IEP student's worth like 10 grand a year per reevals, right? And let's just keep moving them along. And so they do that with over accommodation. So your child's getting A's and B's, but they're not reading. Tests are being read to them. They've got pens that read. They're not reading. They're not learning to read. Understand this effect. 25% of children that have gone through school under an IEP will not graduate high school. So, but they just get moved along. So if your school is over accommodating, that's a good sign. They've given up on teaching your child to read and are simply getting them through the hoops from grade to grade. If you're in a school system or state that can't teach children to read, that means your dyslexic, ADHD, autistic son doesn't have a chance. If their general population is not learning to read, that's not a good sign. For example, Los Angeles County Public Schools, 75% of their 4th graders, by 4th grade, 75% are reading below grade level. They're below proficiency, 75%. So if you're in that county or a county like that, then your child, if they have additional challenges, it doesn't look good. Florida, the state of Florida, 61% of 4th graders are below grade level. Now, if you're in Massachusetts and you have a dyslexic child, things look a little bit better for you because they do a better job at teaching reading as a whole. You can learn this by simply Googling your school system, and sometimes you can find the name, right? How your actual school is doing, and reading proficiency at fourth grade level. That's a good litmus test, right? Right around fourth grade to see where your school is. But if your whole state isn't doing well with reading, then your child is especially if that challenges, may not do well. The eighth sign that your child will not learn to read in the school they're in right now is that underachievement is normalized. The grass isn't cut, the sign out front, the date is wrong, the event took place 3 weeks ago, nobody is professional, everything about the place is mediocre at best, and then you walk in with your expectations and you're made to feel abnormal and that you're a problem. You're the problem because averageness, right? Average is achievement and below average is average, right? So your expectations, which are completely well grounded in what you believe should be happening, is what you need. It's in your heart. You know it's true. You know it's right. But in that organization, it's abnormal. So if subpar behavior, like student behavior, is tolerated at school, if all these other things that are underachievement, right? If they underachieve in all areas at that school, then your expectations are above that and you're made to feel like you're the problem, that's not a school that is going to teach your child to read. 9, if you hear the absurd statement, he can read but he doesn't comprehend, pack up your bags and leave. Because some schools will separate. They'll say, well, because they want something close to grade level. So they'll say, well, right over here, you can see he's decoding at the third grade level. But yes, his comprehension's there at first, but he's decoding it. No. If someone's comprehension is at the first grade level, that's the level they're reading at. Because comprehension is what reading is for. Right? So saying they can read but they can't comprehend is like saying she could swim, she can't stay on the surface of the water. Right? Doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. So if you hear that statement, that's probably not an organization that's going to teach your child to read. The 10th sign is that you're angry and crying all the time. If you're angry, you've got a 3-ring binder when you go to your IEP meeting, you've got an advocate, you've contacted an attorney, and you're crying at night about what the school is or isn't doing, your anger and attitude is a sign that they're not going to do what they're supposed to be doing. Why expect them to? And the 11th sign is there's no actual progress. It's interesting. Parents have spent so many years in a battle. When I ask them questions, well, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. I'll look at them and say, is your child's reading improved? Not really. Well, that's it then, right? So if you have had your child in a school system for a couple years and maybe even involved with an IEP program for a couple years in a resource room and their reading is not improved in relation to their advancement, so if they had a 2-year lag when you started and they have a 2-year lag 3 years later, yeah, they got better at reading, but the gap is still there. They're not going to teach your child to read. The good news is you can. There's something freeing when I work with parents and with my program, when the parents are like, all right, I'm done. I'm not going to ask these people anymore. I mean, because that is the definition of insanity, isn't it? To ask a school system to do something that hasn't done for years and to keep asking it, that will drive you crazy. And some of you are like, yeah, I'm kind of like taking meds right now because of this situation. I get it. Here's a better solution. You teach your child to read. Well, Keith, I shouldn't have to. That's true. And our children shouldn't have to go through shooter lockdown drills, right? Like we can go by how things are or how things should be. Your child needs you to go by how things are. You can teach your child to read. My mom taught me to read. And I've got a video in the descriptions below. My mom taught me to read, and she had no education. The schools just didn't do it, and she realized that my son's not learning to read. My mom taught me to read. I have a program that will allow you to teach your child to read in 15 minutes a day. There's a link to it below in descriptions. And if you go there and you're like, well, I don't know if this looks like something I want to do, find another program. Do something. Your child needs to read. It's the greatest gift you can give them. Teach your child to read because you're in a system or a school that is not going to do it. If you want to know more about how I can teach you to use 15 minutes a day to teach your child to read, please check out this video. Please subscribe. I have more coming out on teaching your dyslexic, ADHD, autistic, or auditory processing impaired child how to read. Remember, why keep doing what you've always done? If it hasn't worked, do something new. You can do this.